We will dive right into the odd election of 2022, which is going to be the last even year election. And this is just going to go over where to find the information. A lot of it is still coming out, but for those of you that have already been asking, or maybe you had questions and confusion on your supervisor's list with terms, hopefully this at least answers a few of those questions for you. So for those that don't know, or maybe you forgot, it's fine. In 2019, there was House Bill 18-1039, and that really was a bill to transition the special district election code to odd year elections. There were several discussions on benefits of switching to odd elections. Some of that was improvement with communication with county assessor and clerk and recorder's offices for voter lists so that they weren't happening during the kind of big presidential election years that spread out their workload a little bit and made it generally easier for the partnership to proceed with accurate elections. So as many of you know, conservation districts were formed under Title 35, Article 70. We have the exact kind of verbiage in here that says that basically conservation districts should, as much as possible and practicable, follow the election procedures set forth in Title 32, which is the Special District Election Code, which also references Title 1, the Uniform Election Code. So there's quite a different trailing and maps situations. So it was thought that the best way for conservation districts to continue practicing quality election codes would be to switch to the odd year elections with the special districts. And that way you have DOLA putting together election calendars for you. There's training, there's more support in the election process and procedures throughout the election cycle. This is just a visual DOLA has on their website. The only thing I can say that is beneficial to conservation districts really is the green arrows. The red ones have to do with their appointed or partial elected terms, which have nothing to do with conservation districts. So really that was just showing that in 2020, our last election, those district supervisors were elected to 3-year terms. In 2022, they will also be elected for 3-year terms. And then in 2023, our first odd year election, we will switch back to 4-year terms and be on odd years after that. And this kind of states that again, where we are now. So that's why your supervisors list have some odd and some even expiration terms right now. After next election in May, they will all be on odd years at least. The good news is that the 2022 election calendar is available now. If you want to start looking at it, you can. We have it on the district operations site, and this link will send you straight there. We also have on that website the forms that you will need to fill out. So the SD4, which is where you designate your designated elected official for the election. Most of the times it's the district manager. If your district doesn't have a district manager, it's usually the board secretary or someone on the board that will serve as the DEO for that election cycle. In December, I will be sending out election letters that will formally state whether your district has removed term limits or not, and then also state, according to our records, who is expiring and should be up for election in 2022. And then we'll also include the information of who will be expiring in 2023 and up for election. And that's just to help guide you. All of that information we put in that letter is fed from several sources. One is the supervisors list. I know several and many of the districts have had a lot of staff turnover in the past year or two. So those supervisors lists may not be as accurate as they have been in the past, or there might be some confusion on them. That's fine. I want to let you know that we also reference our database, and we keep copies of those supervisors lists back 40 some years. So we go all the way back to verify your board supervisor positions and seats. If you feel that the information on that letter is incorrect, please let us know as soon as possible, and we'll sit down with you and go through each supervisor and walk back their terms to find out if we need to change anything. The other thing that will be sent out with that letter that is also available on the website now is what I'm just calling the 2022 cheat sheet. And I will go and show you that right now. If you go to the district operations site on that link, under statutory requirements, there's a elections page. And this has all the information on the elections that I send out in the email usually. It also has DOLA's contact information for Joe McConnell. He is the approving authority for elections at DOLA. So he's the one who's verifying your information as you submit it through DOLA for elections, he and his staff. So if you have specific questions, he is your resource at DOLA. On this left-hand side with all this yellow information is the election calendar. You need to click on this little pop-out button to open it in a new web browser window. And from here, you should have a download button, an arrow download, or some sort of download where you can save it to your desktop, and then you can open it as a PDF at any time and look at it. So this is only viewing it in the web browser, not the not on your local desktop. So this will walk you through basically starting around December, January, when to post, what to post, and then on the right-hand side column is what forms go along with that. So it'll walk you through that you need to appoint a designated election official, and you'll need to have your board fill out SD4 and SD5 forms. Now, this is the supervisor election cheat sheet that we kind of made for the conservation districts. And the same thing, use your little pop-out window, and you can come over here to download it, and you can save a copy of it. The link right here goes straight to DOLA, which will also have those SD forms available on their website. In addition, excuse me, I have a frog in my throat. In January, DOLA and Joe McConnell will roll out trainings where they will walk you through various pieces of that election calendar, and they're virtual webinar trainings that you can just add to your calendar. They're usually on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and you can add those to your calendar, and he'll walk you through kind of the election cycle. Okay, so like I said, this is mostly for conservation districts because the majority of you will end up canceling your election because you don't have more supervisors than seats available. However, it does walk you through the process. Even if you end up canceling your election, you still have to go through all the posting and the call for nominations. That is part of the election cycle. So in January, February, you will do that election resolution, that SD4. And SD5 is a certificate of appointment for the designated election official. These are the dates, January 23rd and February 17th, where you will need to publish your call for nominations. And I wanted to point this out because it is different this year. Besides posting it in a newspaper of general circulation, a district must also do one of these other options. So the first one is mailing the notice to everyone in your district, which I don't think many districts will do. That's pretty costly. The second is including it into your newsletter, your annual report. We don't really do billing statements if you send out a letter to landowners, but I think for most part, conservation districts could use their newsletter or annual report. And the third option is posting the information on the official website of the district. So for that option of posting it on your website, that is perfectly fine, just like you can post your meeting notices on your website now. However, if you are doing that, you have to make sure that you have registered your website with DOLA as a place that you will be posting meeting notices. If you have not done that with them, then technically it's not legal for you to, you can post it on your website, but you also will need to post it in 3 locations within your district instead of just the website. So this will walk you through to the next step in February 25th, when you have those self-nomination forms come in. And the key, of course, is that they must be registered to vote in Colorado, and a landowner or a leasee designated by the landowner within your district boundaries. After March 1st, that's the key. If there are no more nominations and seats available, then your election can be canceled. And you do that by publishing SD 11. And this will walk you through exactly what you need to do. And then the resolution, election cancellation, SD 12. These two forms, SD 11 and SD 12, are what you submit as one PDF to DOLA to cancel your election. Now that happens after the election in May, so the beginning of June, you can submit that through DOLA and file that. And from that standpoint, you have gone through your election properly. You're in statutory compliance as far as CSCB is concerned, and you are all set to go. The one note I want to make here is that if you end up going through all of this and end up canceling your election, please remember that your supervisors are still considered elected. Even though you canceled the election, they filled out a self-nomination form for the election. They went through the election process. They are considered elected and not appointed on your supervisor's list from there on out. And that will start their term limit tracking as well. And then of course, after the oaths of office forms are complete, the board supervisor can have a copy, and then you can file one along with the notice of cancellation with the clerk and recorder's office. A lot of county clerk and recorders, especially in rural parts of Colorado, don't track, or they just say, don't bother sending that to us for a conservation district. That's fine. Just make sure that you keep a copy permanently with your district records in your office. And then of course, if you have more self-nomination forms, then there are expiring terms, or if there are other issues or questions, or voter mill levy questions, you have to conduct a full election and go through the rest of the process. So this is really just if you're going through, it will get you through the beginning of it, the election process, but make sure you're following that election calendar as well to see if you need to have any other voter list or information ready if you do have to have a election in May. You should know that by the end of February though, so that will give you some time to come back to this calendar. If you have questions, definitely, like I said, Joe McConnell is the DOLA election code expert, and he's a good resource. You can also contact your field staff or myself, and we will try to help answer any questions we can. So, like I mentioned, in January, DOLA will be providing those free webinar trainings, and they have their link there. It's also on our district operations site where you can go to their website, and he'll list the trainings. I'm pretty sure he still has last year's listed for now. So mid-December is usually when he gets those switched and posted. So you can look for those. DOLA does send out an email for those of you that receive them from DOLA. So you will be notified instantly when they update that information. And for everyone else, I'll try to send out an email as soon as I find out that they're updated, but I'm not on the part of the automatic notification system. So you might find out before me, which is good. So this was just how to get to the statutory requirements and the election page, and those two documents that will probably be pretty useful for you through the election. So remember, you have to go through the process of the election, even if you end up canceling it. It's part of the statutory requirements for direct assistance and other state funding. You file those cancellation forms with DOLA. That's what I use to verify the statutory compliance. And then the supervisors that self-nominate during election cycle are considered elected. So keep that in mind for your supervisors list. And contact us if you have any questions. This was a really fast rundown of the election process, but like I said, more information and trainings will be coming out in the next month or two. I just know we've started to get some questions, mostly about the switch to odd years, and we wanted to kind of clarify some of that for you folks. Does anyone have any questions? I'll open it up for discussion now. Well, this might be the easiest election training I've ever done. So let us know once your coffee kicks in if you do have questions. Like I said, your field specialist or myself can help you walk through that. But the forms are up on our district operations site if you want to download those and just have them on standby for you. All right. Well, everybody have a good rest of your day. I won't take up any more of your time, and we'll get this posted on the district ops site as soon as possible.
Thanks, Nikki.
Thank you.